Hello, team. I can make your hands clap. I'm sorry that the footage is currently the back of my chair. However, I am going to move in a second. I'm just getting the live stream open so that, should it actually fucking work, I can say hello. Right, so I am gonna do some cooking, because I am hungry. I just came back from Trans Day of Remembrance. It was a massive disappointment, as per usual. Well, not actually. Well, I don't know. Yeah, as per usual. I thought it'd be better actually. Genuinely, I did. I've been to vigils before, and usually they're outside. Usually there's a lot of people dressed in lots of vibrant trans clothes. Usually they feel like a community coming together. Um, usually they're sad, but they feel like we're visible, right? They feel like it's important and meaningful, and we're creating some amount of difference. That wasn't the case at all today. It was cold December night. Sorry, cold. Fuck. Oh, well done, Jess. Kicking my webcam. Fucking cable. Sorry, team. You don't need to see me, right? It's not important that you see me. Did we fix it? Beautiful, we fixed it. Is it working now? Wonderful. So, it. Right, let me just double check fucking OBS is working. Jess, why are you a moron? Wonderful. I did fix it. Okay, yeah, I did kick the camera off. Right, let me fix this. Bro, I'm so stupid. Wonderful. It works again. Wonderful, wonderful. Hi, pigs. Clearly Pigstream does not want to watch this stream, but that's okay. Pigstream hates this stream. I love you, pigs, even though you hate me, even though you think I'm not worth your time. Right, so, fucking hell. Let's not do this again, hey. So we were we were we were we were in a fucking hospital, of all places, which I don't know if you know trans people, but hospitals aren't very good to trans people. They in the UK especially, they very specifically don't give us care. Um, so we were in a hospital. Um, that it was run and officiated by the hospital staff, which is shitty. Um, it was how do I describe this in a way that without going back on myself. So it was in hospital. It was officiated by hospital staff, um, who were cis. Yeah, they weren't trans themselves. They were um the event was in a small sort of no, well, keep doing the running, pigs. Well done. You're amazing. I'll be a little cheerleader. You go. You do it. You got this. Um so it was in a hospital where um there wasn't enough seats for everybody who tried to attend, right? Um by the looks of it, the people who got there first were a mix of a few trans people and then a few cis people and a few hospital workers, right? So not everyone who actually got to sit down was trans. Um, the event didn't actually have a microphone. So if you weren't in these few people who could sit down, like sort of, you couldn't actually hear the event. It was in like a long corridor room as well. It was in the entrance hall of a hospital, right? So the irony that the event didn't even get inside the hospital. It took place in the entrance hall of the hospital, the waiting room of the hospital, if you like, right? The area that you go to before you're even in the hospital, right? So a long sort of corridor like room, right? Which was sort of cold and not particularly like um it wasn't a fucking great event to have a fucking, vigil in, shall we say. There was like 3 or 4 chairs either side of what is essentially like a corridor, and they were like 10 deep, right? So there was like 60 chairs total. There was probably 80 or 90 people um, who'd tried to attend, but that just meant that 30 people were sort of gathered at the back in a tiny, cramped corridor, like narrow place, trying to somehow hear someone who didn't have a microphone, so you couldn't actually hear them at all. This cis person, this member of the hospital, then sort of patronisingly explained to us how many trans people were killed this year, 350 in the UK, right? As if we didn't, as if we weren't aware that lots of trans people are killed in the UK, right? As if the trans people who've attended aren't aware that fucking trans people get fucking murdered, right? As if they need to explain to us that, which I appreciate. Sounds like me being hostile because obviously it's a fucking trans remembrance event. Of course they're going to tell us how many trans people have been killed, but like also maybe don't have a fucking member of a fucking hospital fucking do it to us, right? We don't need to be fucking patronized by fucking hospital workers. We really don't. We get that on a daily fucking basis. Please, can we have less of that? Thank you. Um. So then, um. Sorry, Jess is angry. Um. They then sort of. I also need to mention, because fuck it, why not? This event was not signposted almost at all, right? So there was no visibility, right? Most of the people who came in November, winter clothes, right? Because it's fucking cold. There's literally snow outside, right? So they're all wearing like browns and blacks, like no one's actually sort of like vibrant at all. I'm the only person with a flag. I brought my own candle because I presumed we'd be set outside of the hospital, not in the fucking hospital, right? I presumed we'd be set outside of the building that rejects us, as sort of like a protest against the building that rejects us. Um, and thus leads to like pretty high suicide rates amongst the trans community. No, no, no. We were in the waiting hall of the hospital, right? As if somehow they were catering to us. This event was literally run by said hospital, right? So like this was the service that this hospital was giving to us. They allowed us into the fucking hallway of the fucking entrance hall, right? Where they then ran a fucking shitty event, right? In order to get into the hospital, by the way, it wasn't even at like an entrance that's public. It was at a private staff entrance. So the only way you could get into this event was if you waited patiently in the cold, right, for a member of the hospital to use their staff card to allow you entrance to the hospital, right? It's like they were trying to make this event as ironic as possible, right? The very irony, right, that in order to get into our own fucking remembrance vigil, we have to wait at an unmarked door politely to be allowed in, right? Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. This was the fucking most garbage, ridiculous event I've ever been to, right? There was no one, like, I think I went there on the bus with a literal fucking trans flag, right? The moment I got off the bus, I lit my candle, and I walked through the centre of Leeds holding a lit candle and a trans flag, right? And then I got to the event, realised it was inside, blew out my candle, went inside, listened for about 5 minutes, Until I was quite literally like full of rage, that I couldn't sort of like I didn't want to be there. They had a tree that they'd planted, and people were allowed to write messages, and like tie them to the tree. So um, I am so angry that this event is being held in a hospital, um, the same institution that has like systemically failed trans people, right? And I tied that to the fucking tree, right? Because I was offended, right? I was upset that this event was being held in a fucking hospital, the same fucking hospital that has like denied me like treatment, the same fucking hospital that like treats me like shit, the same fucking hospital that is just fucking antagonistic to trans people, right? And then after I tied it to the fucking tree and I stood there at the very back, right? Because I didn't really want to take the seat of another trans person, um, so I didn't take any of the seats. Um, I don't know if it meant more to other people than me. I didn't want to be the reason that someone else couldn't get a seat. So I stood at the back with the crowd of people who couldn't fucking hear, like literally could not fucking hear whatsoever. And after I realized it was entirely pointless me even standing there, right? Like it was literally pointless me stood there, because I couldn't hear anything, and all I was really doing was like giving some sort of amount of like consent to this event being like worth attending, right? Like, and I didn't want people to feel like I believed that this event was worth attending, because believe me, I don't. I fucking hated this event. This event was fucking pointless. Um, so I went and I sat outside in the cold, um, with my fucking candle in front of the hospital with my flag, and I sort of laid my flag over a wall, and I put my candle on it. So it sort of looked like the fucking coffin of a fucking dead trans person, to be honest. And I sat next to it, and I just sat there outside the hospital as people walked past in the centre of Leeds, thinking, huh, what the fuck's she doing? Right? And probably about 100 people walked past me, right? And what they saw when they walked past me, right, was what they saw when they walked past me was a trans person sat in the cold outside a hospital, paying sort of respect and remembrance to a bunch of trans people who have been, let down by the system, right? Let down by the police, let down by social care, let down by mental health services, let down by the gender identity services, let down by hospitals, let down by schools, let down by their families, let down by everybody, right? Let by down by the people who created a world, or failed to work on not creating a world, um or changing a world, sorry, failed to work on changing a world where trans people get killed, right? Or where trans people kill themselves, right? So I did my little fucking protest, right? I wish the whole event was a fucking protest, right? I wish the whole event was us sat outside a fucking hospital saying it's ridiculous that we live in a society where a hospital throws a fucking Remembrance Day for trans people when they're literally fucking part of the problem, right? Part of the fucking uh, uh, system that abuses us. But it wasn't. It was just me. It was just me on my own. And the event ended, and every single person came out and saw me sat there, and presumably they realised that I've been sat there the whole fucking time, right, with my big fucking flag and my shitty fucking candle, my fucking trans hair and my fucking trans makeup. And I don't know what they thought. They probably thought, why the fuck she sat outside in the fucking cold? Didn't she know it was inside? What an idiot. Right? That's probably what they thought, to be fair. Right? I hope they didn't think that. I hope they thought, wow, she decided that she hated this event so much she came and sat outside instead. I don't know if they'll think that. I genuinely don't. Right? Um, but there was like 2 or 3 people who came late, and they came up to me and they either said, "Oh no, have I missed it?" or they said, "Oh, where is the vigil?" And I got to say, "Hey, it's over there, darling." I got to be the fucking person who helped them. And I did, and they were really thankful, and they were really glad that there was a fucking trans person sat outside with a flag, right, and a fucking candle that marked where the fucking vigil was, right, and that was able to direct them to where the fucking vigil was, because there was no other fucking signposts, right? There was no other indication where it was, and a few of them knew exactly where it was, right, because they followed the address, and they walked up, and what they found was a door that was locked and would not let them in. So they turned around and they came to me and they were like, "Where is it? I don't understand." And I was like, "Oh, it's in there." And they were like, "But the door's locked." And I'm like, "Yeah, the door's locked. You have to wave to a member of staff until they let you in." The indignity, right? The fucking indignity, right? The fucking vigil of fucking remembrance to trans people who've been failed by the fucking healthcare system, right? You have to wait in the cold and wave to a member of the hospital staff to let you in to your own fucking vigil. Holy Jesus fucking Christ. Holy hell. Anyway, I sat outside with my fucking flag and my fucking candle. And I thought about people who've died. And I thought about a system that foxes. And then I picked up my candle and my flag. And I walked up and down the fucking hedgerow, which is the main street in Leeds, whilst I waited for my bus home. So quite a lot of people at least had the benefit of seeing a fucking trans woman walking up and down with a big fucking flag and a candle. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know, team. I find it despicable that that is the way that events are run for trans people. I find it disappointing that we have just no will to defy the system, even on the days of the year where we're supposed to, you know. I find it really fucking repugnant that so many people seem to find that like an acceptable event. That so many people seem to find that like a nice event, and that it was worth their evening. It was an hour long. It wasn't. I think it wasn't. It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. Most of it was fucking inaudible. Right? Holy shit. The best thing, the only decent thing they did, right? The only decent thing that they did was they provided free tea and coffee, right? Which I didn't have, right? Because I'm pretty sure they didn't have oat milk, right? I'm pretty sure it was fucking cow milk. So I just didn't have that. Why is some moron talking about me having shoes on in my house? I'm wearing socks, you fucking idiot. You guys are allowed to ban people if you want. This is allowed. I actually can't do it. I'm too zoomed in. I'm too zoomed in. There you go, dude. God bless Donald Trump. No shoes in the house. Fuck Donald Trump. I could be better, Kerry. It could be a lot better, my darling. They do see themselves as trying to help us, and they don't realise that we are fucking systemically fucking let down by the very like institution they work for, And they don't realize that because they don't interact with us. And when they do interact with us, they think that because they're nice to us, that everyone in their fucking hospital must be nice to us. They don't realize that it only takes like one person in the entire chain of like care to deny you service, right? If you go into like the reception and the receptionist doesn't want you to get healthcare, the receptionist says no, actually, we can't see you and you don't get an appointment, right? If you do get an appointment, if the receptionist is like, oh yeah, we can send you through, right, and you go and you see a nurse, and the nurse doesn't think you deserve healthcare, then the nurse can be like, oh no, sorry, this, we can't help you here. You need to, move on, right? If you do get that appointment and you do see that nurse and the nurse thinks that you do deserve healthcare, you get to go and see a doctor, right? And if the doctor doesn't think you deserve healthcare, the doctor goes, oh no, sorry, you've been misled by our receptionist and our nurses. You actually aren't going to get healthcare, right? And it just continues, right? Every new doctor you see, every new whatever, position in the hospital you see, at any point, any of them can be like, oh no, sorry, actually we can't help you anymore, right? And you just stop getting treatment. It's a great system. We love it. It's the best system. It's a fucking amazing system where people um, think that because there's a gender identification, um, fuck, gender identity service, gender identity care, sort of part of the hospital, right? That it's not their obligation to help you because there's a specialist, right? So they pass you on to the specialist, not realizing that that specialist, right, has a waiting list of 19 fucking years, right? So the only way you get healthcare within the NHS in England is if individuals within NHS England decide to just give you healthcare. If they decide that actually they're going to do this thing called a fuck, what's it called? It's called a bridging prescription, right? They can be like, oh, because you're currently waiting for a specialist and you're on the waiting list and that care isn't yet available, we're going to do this thing where we just decide to give you care even though we're not part of the specialist group that are supposed to give you care, right? It's like literally doctors have to opt in to going out of their way to give you care that they're not technically supposed to give you, but they're allowed to give you. Are we gonna work? Cool. They're allowed to give you if they think that is the best treatment for you, but only if they think that and only if they want to do that, right? So in the UK, right? Well, not the UK. Scotland's slightly different. In England, right? If you want fucking National Health Service identity care, you're entirely at the behest of a random doctor who has decided to do fucking kindness to you, going out of their way and doing something that's not technically in their job description, right? Which is absurd, right? And if they don't do that, then you either have to buy it privately from a prescription giver, who, by the way, won't give you any of the other care alongside your drugs, right? They'll just give you your drugs. They'll give you no blood tests. They'll give you no therapy. They'll give you no checkups. They'll give you no sort of observation. They'll give you nothing but the drugs, right? Which is fine, right? But it would be nice if we, got anything else than just the drugs that we, have to pay for, by the way. We have to actively pay quite a lot of money to get these drugs, and we get none of the other treatment, right? But if you want the NHS care, right, um, you're quite literally at the whim of people deciding to be like overtly kind, right, and like go out of their way to do this. But the problem is, right, is that the people within the NHS don't actually know this. Most people within the NHS don't actually know or aren't actually aware of how fucking broken gender identity care is. So they don't realize that the only way you get care is if they decide to do that, right? So they aren't aware that you're dying and they're the only way that you will be saved is if they choose to save you. They aren't aware of the literal fire going on in trans healthcare. And if you try and explain it to them, they don't believe you and they don't listen and they don't, usually if they're, an older, wonderful, cis white man, right? They don't actually even think you deserve care. They don't actually even think that your symptoms and your like sort of you know, I mean, I suppose I don't even know what we would call it. I don't really want to call it a mental health sort of condition because I don't think it is. It's a being born in the wrong body condition, right? It's a, you know, being born with a brain that doesn't match your fucking physical attributes, right? Condition is real, right? They think that you're just some fucking weird social condition, right? They think you've somehow been abused by society to believe things that aren't true, right? Because they've not bothered to learn about trans issues. They don't even know about trans issues. They don't give a fuck about trans issues, right? It's just a fucking joke. The whole fucking system's a fucking joke. And then we have Trans Remembrance Day, right? Where we honor our dead. Where we go and we remember the people who've either been literally murdered, right? By the way, 15 children. 15 children, right? 15 trans children were killed this year, right? 15 trans children. 170 trans people between the age of 19 and 25, right? Which means almost 200 people under the age of 25 who were trans were killed this year. Almost 200. Right, and if we go up to the age of 33, which is me, by the way, which is me, right, we're looking at like, what? No, I said... No, it's less than that. Sorry, excuse me. It's 100. It's almost 200 if we go up to the age of 25. It's 100. It's 90. Below the age of 25. 90 people below the age of 25. Almost 200 if we go up to the age of 35. Or is it more than... No, it's... Okay, no, excuse me. My maths is not very good whilst fucking cooking, team. Apparently, Jess can't do maths and cook. Right? It's just over 100. It's just over 100 up to the age of 25. And it's just below 200 up to the age of 33. Right? So, any of those 200 people could have been me. Right? Any of them. Right? Any single one of those 200 people could have been me instead. And there are times, right, in the last fucking 2 years, or the last year alone, right, where people have threatened me in the street. You know? And I think, why isn't it me? That's what I think when I go to these fucking shitty events. When I go to these fucking awful events. I'm left thinking, why not me? Because I don't think I deserve to live more than any other fucking trans girl. I certainly don't think that they should die so that I can live. I don't want to live in a world where other people die instead of me. I was waving my fucking trans flag on the fucking streets of Leeds today. And I kept thinking, what if someone decides to start issues? What if someone decides to pick a fight? What if someone screams abuse? What a day to be killed. Right? What a day to be hate crimed. On the 20th of fucking November, on Trans Day of Remembrance. What a day to be murdered. What a day. I wonder if anyone was. I wonder if anyone in the world today, on the 20th of November, who is trans, was killed. There probably wasn't in the UK. In the UK, we had 350 deaths, right? Which means almost one every single day. On average, one every single day, right, of the entire year, right? So statistically, it's actually not that unlikely that it was, right? Um, but due to whatever, we can probably rule out that. I don't know actually. I don't know. Be interesting to find out. But I'm sure somewhere in the world, a trans person's been killed. I don't know if it is 350 in the UK. If it's 350 in the world, it surely can't have been 350 in the world. I don't know. I should know. I should know these things, but I don't know these things, right? And part of the reason I don't know these things is because I don't fucking go to trans events and I don't listen to fucking trans news because it's fucking depressing, right? Because all it makes me want to do when I do listen to trans news is I want to fucking kill myself, right? Or I want to be fucking killed by someone, right? Because it's fucking awful, dude. The reality that is trans healthcare, the reality that is like trans fucking medicine, the reality that is fucking trans anything, right, is a fucking nightmare. Even even today, it was just a room of broken, quiet people, right? There was none of the same fucking resistance. There was none of the same fucking like indignation. There was none of the same fucking like angst, right? That I saw 2 years ago. It was just resignation, disappointment, right? And not even disappointment. I think that's the worst part. Is it didn't seem like anyone was disappointed, right? It seemed like everyone was just like, "Oh, this is the level of our descent. This is what we do." Hello. It like I don't know why my headphones keep fucking dying. It's very annoying. Um, there was no like there was no fire, right? There was no grief. It was just a group of people who came and stood in the fucking entrance hall of a hospital and listened to someone fucking mumble, and then went home. We listened to some fucking shitty hospital staff tell us that like we're getting killed, and they're doing the best they can or some shit, right? I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. It really upsets me. The level of apathy that we have on this fucking shitty planet that we live on. No one fucking cares. No one fucking does anything. Yeah. I went to a vigil 2 years ago with my ex-partner, who I was a piece of shit to, by the way. So, you know, please don't be giving me no sympathy in that regard. I was a piece of shit to this woman, and she came to a vigil with me accidentally. I was going there, for whatever reason we were still on speaking terms, and she was going to get a tattoo or some shit. I can't remember. And she ended up meeting me at the fucking vigil. Um, Towards the end, right? And she didn't mean to come. She didn't. I don't know. It's kind of awkward that she was there, but whatever. And trans person on the microphone, talking about the importance of cis allies, talking about how there's only so many trans people in the world, and life for trans people is fucking hard, right? Because they're just trying to fucking survive, right? And how important it is for the movement, for our rights, for our health, for everything, that cis people, that people who aren't going through as much fucking shitty oppression, right? People who have the privilege and the freedom and care about their friends who are trans, or their relatives who are trans, or whoever the fuck they care about, right? Show up and support these events, right? And are visible allies and do something, right, to help. And my ex-partner cried. She cried because I think for the first time she realized that I just opted in to being a fucking abused minority. And she understood that there was no good reason to be trans unless you have to be. Right? Unless it's not a choice, right? Unless it's fucking a thing that you need to do to not be fucking miserable. Because being trans is not good for you. Being trans is really, really not good for you. It's bad. Right? And you will be abused. And the system will ignore you. And everything will be fucking shit. Right? And it's really, really important that cis people, that people who aren't trans, right, support and look after and care and do something for the trans people in their lives. And she fucking hated me. She still does. But she fucking was crying and she gave me a hug because she realized that it was fucked. And that no one was on my side. That no one was on any of our fucking sides. And that even if she fucking hated me, and even if she fucking, had loads of other problems in her life, she at least didn't have to deal with being a person who's literally denied the medical care to be the person that they want to be, to have a body that is able for them, you know? And she did never come to another trans event with me, and that's fine. I don't need her to, because, I'm not her friend. I'm the person who was a piece of shit to her, right? And I understand why she wouldn't come to events with me, and I don't want her to. But she is the only person I know who wears a fucking trans pin. She's the only fucking person I know who does the most basic fucking thing that you can do as a fucking trans ally. And, that breaks me when I see her running in a fucking race. When I see her, whatever the fuck she's doing, and she's wearing a fucking trans pin. It hurts me because I know that even though she fucking hates me, she still cares more about my rights and advocating for those rights than anybody fucking else in my life. Even the people who profess not to fucking hate me. Even the people who profess to be my fucking friend. Even the people who have multiple trans friends. And that makes me realize just how fucking hard it is to get trans allies. Just how hard it is for fucking any amount of support. And I don't need support. I really don't, you know. I'm so fucking lucky. I have so much privilege compared to everyone else. Compared to fucking other trans girls. Compared to, you know, the majority of my community. Even compared to a lot of non-trans people, I have fucking privilege. You know? I probably wouldn't stack my life up, you know, lesser than a large majority of cis people, you know? But my community don't have that privilege. You know? My community aren't me. My community don't have the same luxury to just ride through oppression that I do. And I fucking stand out here in the cold, in the street, with a flag and a fucking candle. Because I want someone to care. I want anyone to care, right? I want any motherfucker to care, right? I fucking run and I fucking do activism and I fucking do all the stupid shit that I do because I just want someone to care, right? I want someone who has some amount of agency to help trans people, right? Whether that's by fucking, you know, hiring one at work instead of discriminating against them, whether that's by fucking, I don't know, implementing policies that make it easier. I don't know. I don't know what people can do. I genuinely don't. Right? But I know there are people out there who can make significant sort of differences and significant sort of like positive um, changes. Oh. Hello, hello, hello. Fucking these headphones are shit at the minute. To trans people's lives, right? Significant positive changes to trans people's lives. And I want those people to do that. Right? Well, you know, people who have like social clout, right? People who like lead groups, people who like do things that make other people want to follow, right? I want them to buy trans pens and to encourage others to do the same, you know? Because I want to create an outward sort of ripple effect where we raise awareness together as a fucking team. I don't feel like that's happening. I feel like what's happening is there's this fucking Jess person fucking screaming into the void constantly. And there's a bunch of people watching and listening, you know, the void, who just don't give a fuck, you know? Who just don't know what to do. And because they don't know what to do, they don't do anything, you know? And people could do something, right? I had like I do this thing where I have like daydreams that I don't know how to get out of. That I like get stuck in them, and they just sort of happen against my will, and I can't stop having them. Right? They're just like they're I call them like phantasms, because they're sort of like they're like day nightmares, right? They're like nightmares, but they happen during the day while I'm awake, right? Um, and I was having one of these phantasms, right? was really funny. It was about a friend I have who I really wish would wear a trans pin. Just really wish they would. And they don't. And I'm not going to tell them to. Right? And they probably never will. They probably never will wear a trans pin. And that's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. Right? But the phantasm was just about one day. They did. They just randomly decided to wear a trans pin for no reason whatsoever. Right? I don't know why they did. They just one day decided to start doing it. And I couldn't stop crying. I was just lying in bed, locked in this like sort of false memory of a person who I would like to wear a trans pin wearing one. And I was just crying. And I was crying with happiness, right? Because like, oh yeah, this person's wearing a trans pin. But I also know that it's not real. Right? And it upset me that I would feel so happy by this being done that I would cry, but that it's not being done, which is an unhappy thing, right? So I was crying with happiness in the dream, in the daydream, in the phantasm, right? But I was fucking horrifically sort of like upset and traumatized in the actual reality that was my conscious mind that was aware that this was like a daydream I couldn't get out of. Which is fun, right? This is why we have mental health issues, right? This is why the best people have all the mental health issues, right? I don't really know how to deal with this idea that like I don't know. Like no one owes me the wearing of a trans pin, right? No, I can't demand that from anyone. Right? And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really do anything, right? It's a bit like veganism, right? In the grand scheme of things, only tiny ripples happen, right? But to the victims, right? To the individuals, right? To the the few trans girls who you interact with on a daily basis, right? They see you not wearing a trans pin, right? Genuinely, if they've asked you to wear one, right, or encouraged you to wear one, we wonder why you don't, right? We really wonder why you don't, right? Because it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you shit, right? The only thing it costs you, right, is the tiny chance that you inherit a tiny amount of the prejudice that we as trans people receive, right? A tiny fraction of the prejudice we receive. There's a small chance that you inherit some of that. Right? And the irony is that that is a huge cost, right? To most cis people, that is a high cost, right? Even a tiny amount of the prejudice we receive. Receiving that is like terrifying, right? But that's all it costs you. And that cost is too high. So people don't do it. And that's soul crushing. It's utterly soul crushing. Especially when you've asked. When you've asked politely. When you've... I don't know, dude. I might be done. The rant might be over. Making my dinner, though. I'm making my dinner, team. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be depressing. I don't mean to make people sad on the remembrance of all the dead trans people day. I don't know how I make this better. I don't know how I make you guys all feel better about whatever the fuck I just said for the last however fucking long I was speaking. An hour. Don't even know how many people are in the chat. There's probably fucking 2 of you. It's probably Kerry and Pigs just sat there, you know, silently wondering, you know, does Jess hate me? Because I don't wear a trans pen. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not. That's a fucked up thing to say, right? I suppose I don't hate people who don't wear trans pens. Because it's like so normalized, right? It's like veganism. I don't hate non-vegans because it's so normalized for people not to be vegan. But I think once I've had a conversation with people about like veganism and you know they've agreed with me that they probably should be vegan and yet they aren't, then I start feeling resent, right? And I think it's the same with trans pens, right? I think if I've had that conversation with people and they've listened to me about why, you know, it would be really good if they did wear a trans pen, and they don't, then it's really hard not to feel some amount of resentment. You know, I have friends who I've literally given trans pens to. You know, I've given them. And they still don't. And that's crushing. That is so fucking painful. Because what more do you want? I had a friend. I had a friend who died. Fucking hell, headphones. I have a friend who died. And, he came to me on, in Pride Month. He told me he'd bought, loads of Pride merch. He bought a hat with, the ally flag on it. And, he bought a trans pin, and he bought a gay pride pin. And he got everything. He got everything so that he could show his allyship to the world. And I ran with him on Saturday, and we had a conversation. He was like, "Oh, Jess, I bought these things." And a week later, the very next Saturday, he died. He's the only person who's ever done that. He was so excited to show his allyship. He was so excited to do the thing that I ask people to do. And then he fucking died. And he's the person I miss the most today. He's not even fucking trans. He's a fucking cis guy. But he genuinely cared about me and about my problems, about my issues, and he wanted to help. And I know he would have been an ally. He was an ally. But I know he was going to be a visible one. I know that our relationship was going to get better. So we were going to get closer. And then I probably had another 20 years with this guy. You know, he was only 58. I probably had another 20 years of friendship with this man. Who wanted to support me and wanted to help me and wanted to be a part of my life. And he's fucking gone. He's fucking gone. And I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what to do about that at all. I don't know if there'll be another person who will even come close to filling the role that he would have filled in my life. I don't know if there's 20 people who, all of them combined, would fill the role that he would have filled in my life. I don't know. But I hope there will be. I hope somehow I'll find someone who comes remotely close to filling, you know, the same role that he does. I don't know if that's true, though. I don't know if they will. I miss him. I miss him so fucking badly. And sorry, I didn't think I'd cry. Usually when I'm angry, I don't cry. Usually when I'm angry, I just get angrier. Sorry. Not really sure what I'm talking about. I don't think there's any point talking about Craig. I think very rarely in life, when you speak, do people listen. and decide to do something about it. There's a quote, it's a Tolstoy quote. It's used at vigils. The save movement constantly sort of reel it out and put it on stuff, you know. And the quote is, when you see someone suffering, do not look away, but instead draw closer, as close as you can, and see if you can help them. I've probably butchered it. That's probably a, paraphrase of the actual quote. But that's pretty, it's a pretty decent summation of the quote, And I don't think people do that with the trans people in their life. I think almost exclusively what they do is they realize that there is too much sort of trauma and pain there, and that they can't do anything to help them. So they don't. And it's true. There is too much trauma and pain here. And you can't help me. You certainly can't fix my problems. I have a lot of friends who have reached out and they've offered to help in some way. And I don't know what to ask from them. Like, genuinely, I don't. Because there's not really much they can do for me, unless they know a doctor who's willing to give me fucking hormones, or, people in the NHS who are willing to sort of like force me through the system. Then they can't help me. There's really not very much that they can do. And that is why the fucking pin shit is the fucking thing I constantly go on about. Because that's how fucking sad and pathetic, the genuine, like the normal person's ability to interact with trans healthcare is. It's the sad fucking shitty reality of the world is that all you can do, right? Unless you're willing to like fucking lobby, right? And fucking, have these, well, I mean, all you can do is wear a fucking pin, right? And by doing that, you will end up in conversations with people about trans issues, right? You will end up having the shitty fucking conversations that I have on a daily basis about trans issues. And that will make change, right? And if you interact with politics and you fucking show up wearing a trans pen, you can have your fucking conversation with your fucking council members and your fucking, whoever the fuck your representatives are about fucking me and my siblings, right? If you go to fucking hospital, right, you wear your fucking trans pen, maybe the fucking doctors and nurses that are in the shitty ass fucking hospital, I'll be like, oh, this random cis person also cares about trans people. Maybe if a trans person steps foot in my hospital today, I'll treat them with a little bit more fucking respect. I don't know, dude. I know there's no magic fucking bullet for people to be able to help me. And I wish there was, right? I know Craig couldn't have done that much to help me, to be honest. But every time I asked for his help, right, usually it was for fucking vegan shit.
he went above and beyond to help me. And I think genuinely that had nothing to do with the fact I was trans. It was to do with the fact that he thought I was fucking amazing. He thought I was a fucking superhero. He thought I was a fucking superhero. And he just wanted to take some of that on. He wanted to make it so I didn't have to be a fucking superhero all the time. Fuck me, dude. I've not got over this fucking man. I don't know if I ever fucking will. I don't know if I ever will get over this fucking man. No, you're wrong, Archangel. You're really, really wrong. We don't allow deconversion therapy. Fucking preaching arseholes here, I'm sorry. People don't need hormones. Well, I mean, they do need hormones. People don't need, like, to, like, have surgery and shit on their body to be happy. Trans people just want hormones and societal respect. That's all we fucking want, you know? There are people who want to go further and have surgeries, right? And that's nice if that's what they want to do. We don't need that. Almost all trans people don't have surgery. Like, it's a very tiny amount of trans people who actually have surgery. Most of us just want fucking hormones and to be left the fuck alone by fucking bigots and fucking religious assholes who think that we have some sort of mental health fucking condition. Who fucking infantilizes and treat us like shit. We don't need to be infantilized and treated like shit. We just need you to leave us the fuck alone and give us fucking, you know, the same healthcare as everyone else gets, you know? A woman on the menopause gets fucking estrogen. And, you know, a man who's having hair loss issues gets testosterone blockers. Like, these medicines are pretty easily acquired as long as you're not trans. It's only trans people who are constantly fucking abused and told that they can't have healthcare. Well, it's not actually. It's not only us. There's also a shit ton of ableism and mental health fucking issues. Well, you know, dude, I don't know. People are so fucking weird. The need to come in here and help and tell people that, like, they have delusions. So, like, these people must realize that they have zero context, right? That they just don't have the life experience of a trans person. The idea that I could tell a gay person that, like, them being gay was wrong is wild, dude. Right. I don't know. I might be exhausted, team. I might be. I just want my dinner. I don't know how long I've been crying for. I don't know how long I've been ranting for. Feels like it's been a while. 69 minutes. Let's go. Let's fucking go. We love 69. 69 is the best number. I don't know, dude. Is this? Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any non-weird questions? What's the chat been saying? We've got Jack in here. Oh, how does moderator? No, I'm sorry, Kerry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone who feels bad. Please don't feel bad. I don't need you to feel bad for me. I didn't come on to feel bad. I came on because I don't know. I mean, I came on because I was angry and I thought I'd talk about it, and I thought I'd talk about how shitty trans remembrance and sort of is in most areas. I realised that a few of you might care. I wanted to hear some voices actually. I don't know. I went into my server and I tried to talk to some of my friends in there, and they're just playing games. They don't really want to talk to me about depressing shit. They don't want to be reminded that Trans Day of Remembrance is depressing and shit. They just want to get on with it and not remember all the dead trans girls and the fact that our society is fucked. So I sort of left. I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable depressing them. I thought I'd come depress the cis people instead. I thought I'd jump on YouTube, where most of the people who watch me are cis fuckers. See if I can depress some of you lot instead. Because I'm an abusive sack of shit. Let's go. Let's go. We love our abusive trans girls. So yeah, I thought I'd come on here, depress you cunts, and maybe hopefully at the end of it have a conversation with someone. Because I'm lonely and sad at the minute, and now that I've made some dinner and I won't be hungry, it would be nice to have a conversation with someone while I eat, if anyone is free. But if not, I'll go sit in fucking vegan world and cry. I won't cry. I think I'm done with the crying, to be honest. I didn't expect to cry, actually, weirdly enough. I'm kind of glad I did. I think Craig's been weighing on my mind for a while. I think I wrote a post today about Trans Day of Remembrance, and I really wanted to write about Craig. Like, I really, really wanted to write about Craig. So I'm glad that I got to have a bit of a cry. And I'm going to talk about Craig actually for a second. And this is going to be really sad, actually. I think sorry in advance. I don't just have phantasms. I also have like compulsions to like have conversations with people who aren't real. And these can sometimes be just as compelling as the daydreams, except they're not visual, like in any way. It's just like a conversation. And I get stuck in these conversations and I can't not have them. I can't stop them. Often they'll be like on the way to the park, or they'll be on the way home from the park, or they'll be at the park. And it's just sort of when I'm in a situation where my brain doesn't have anything to do, so it just like simulates like a hypothetical conversation with someone who is either dead or I don't know. It's weird. And I usually do them a lot with dead people. I usually do them quite a lot with the people who I'm trying to grieve, because quite a few people have died in my life. But they're usually not that serious. They're usually they're sort of people who I didn't actually really ever speak to that much when they were alive. There's just there's a few exceptions. There's like my grandma and a few other people, but for the most part, they're not really people I spoke to when I was alive. I also simulate a lot of them with people I don't speak to anymore. Ex-partners is usually the big one, which is also a form of grieving. So it sort of tracks that, they're both sort of types of grieving, I suppose. Anyway, I have these sort of compelled, like, conversations that I'm trapped in and I can't stop having. And I don't know how to stop doing it, and I keep doing it. And I've not had them with Craig. Yeah, I think it's really sad. Because I love Craig. And I need to work out how to grieve Craig. Right? Really badly, I need to work out how to grieve Craig. But I've not ever had one of these conversations with Craig. And I don't really know how to. Because I don't really know him that well. I don't really know what internal voice he would have. I don't really know what he would say. So I can't have the conversation. And that makes me feel really sad. And the reason that makes me feel really sad, it's because it feels like, I don't know, it feels like I didn't get to know him well enough. Right? It feels like our friendship wasn't good enough. Then I know how to sort of simulate that conversation, right? And that's kind of fucked. There's a lot of food, by the way. I don't know, dude. It just kind of feels... With the others, it sort of felt like he was still, like, they're still there, right? Like, when I want to have a conversation with my grandma, I can. When my brain misses her, I can make the conversation happen, right? Or it sort of happens to me. But with him, he's just gone. He's just gone. And I have no way to access him. I have nowhere to... I have no way to, like, speak to him or... I don't know. And that just kind of hurts. It just kind of hurts. A lot. And, I don't know, dude. Trans Day of Remembrance. Remembrance this bloke. Probably right to his daughter, actually. I don't know. He's probably right to his daughter. I'm gonna do that. My dog might be hungry, team. Up you come. Up you come. Oh, you can't have it. It's chilly. It's not good for you. I love you, dog. Please don't lick my makeup off my face. Off my beautiful face. You guys have not seen my makeup. I drew little hearts on my face. I did a really good job, actually. I thought, special occasion. Gonna go meet the trans folk. I'd get the flag out, get the flag on the face. And then I drew some hearts too. Stop licking my face. Do you want your dinner? You can have your dinner if you want. Don't lick my face, dog. He's so beautiful. I burnt my finger on a match. I was lighting a candle for Craig. And I burnt my finger. And it hurts now as I'm scratching the dog. Didn't hurt prior. Didn't hurt for the entire time. But now it hurts. I don't know. I might call it quits, team. I think most of you just sat here listening to me ramble at this point. I don't really have any sort of things meaningful to say. But I appreciate that you came and listened. And I'm sorry if I upset anybody. And if there's anybody out there who doesn't have a trans pen, buy one. Buy one and wear it. Please. Because it doesn't make a fucking difference. It's only a tiny difference. But it helps. No, Carrie, I can't. You can come on Discord when you home. I don't want to make a video that's just me fucking crying and rambling, and I want to stop streaming because I think there's nothing. There's no point in people listening to it at this point. It's not. It's nothing of worth. There's nothing of value being said. I love you though, Carrie. And I'll happily hang out with you when you get home. But I need to end the stream. Oh, let me show you my makeup before I go. Because it's really pretty. Well, I mean, I'm not showing Carrie because she's driving. I'm showing the rest of the plebs. Oh. There's hearts. Look at the hearts. There's hearts, team. Anyway.